Unlike the decision to begin living, which is made for us, and which we embark upon in total ignorance and terror, the decision to keep bees, to write, or to follow Christ is usually made with a vague and incomplete idea of what will be required. A hive, a few notebooks and pens, or a hymnal and a church. Then 3 pounds of golden-furred bodies arrive purring in their box. And it quickly becomes clear that, in addition to the basic skills of building and inspecting a hive, a beekeeper ought to know woodworking, as well as how to light and stoke a fire in a smoker. The smoker, essentially a lidded tin can, allows the beekeeper to suggest that there is a wildfire about, and therefore that the bees have more important concerns than the person breaking into their home at the moment. A very bad time to discover one's own lack of fire-making skills is when the smoker, which moments ago had been puffing smoke, ceases to smoke entirely, leaving one standing in a cloud of irritable bees. The tree overshadowing my home drops a sufficient number of dry twigs for my smoker, but they don't catch fire when touched to a lighter, even if one is wearing a scruff of oak moss. Because I tend to have a church program or two lying around in my car, I tear those in half, crumple a piece, light it, and work the bellows until the slim orange line eating through the paper expands into flame. The twigs have to be laid over that or they won't catch, and not all at once, or the flame goes out. Only when the fire is sufficiently fed, a crown of flames leaping out of the smoker, do I cover it with the bracken fronds and zigzag stems of salal that I've trimmed from around the hive, producing a cool white smoke. Too much greenery on too weak a flame, and the smoker ceases to smoke at inopportune times. A certain degree of order, both human and natural, goes into my smoker. Prayers and birthday wishes printed on 20-pound paper, lignin and cellulose arranged into pith, cambium, xylem, and phloem, and the tracery of veins on leaves. Through pyrolysis and combustion, producing light and heat along with the smoke, that complexity is broken down into smaller, simpler particles. After the fire goes out, what remains is ashes, soot, and charred fragments. Order becomes disorder. Entropy increases locally. The universe advances toward chaos. The kind of writing I think of as incandescent and discuss in this book resembles this process in reverse. The writer begins with light, which is sometimes a steady white flame, sometimes no more than an ember that must be blown to brightness, and the dust and ashes left by living one's life. Within and through the writer, this dust and that light combine to create the drafts of a book, one after another, each exhibiting an increasing internal order, like the instars of a dragonfly. If the process is carried to its final and most perfect point, a whole world emerges, richly complicated, well-ordered, and entire. The book blazes forth for as long as it has a chance of finding a reader. By reading it, we risk being set alight ourselves. But this fire does not disorder and destroy. Instead, if we let it, if we come close enough to catch fire, it burns through our preconceptions and our whole way of living, and increases the complexity, order, and richness of our lives. This is the only sort of writing that interests me these days. It has never been common, though it shines out here and there from the heaps of books written for their times and left in those times. What concerns me is that, as far as I can tell, that kind of writing has nearly vanished. For a decade, I put my head down to research, compose, revise, and eventually publish a difficult novel, in the crevices of time between full-time jobs, academic programs, other writing, and the demands of life, in the hope that I could add an affirming flame to the light thrown off by the writers I admired, whose words had lit my way,